My F20 boyfriend, M20, is completely different after a brain injury. I've been with him for going on 3 years. I love him to death. We've had issues in the past, but we were working really hard to fix them, and had finally gotten to a place where we were happy. TW. Car accident, injury, scroll down. We were driving in the snow and slid, he was going too fast. We hit the guardrail on his side at 60 miles per hour and his head shattered the window, knocking him out and cutting it open. He was blind for a bit when he woke up. I kept him awake and tried to keep him warm until the paramedics came. He has little memory of the actual crash. I sat in the hospital alone for hours waiting to hear about him, and finally I was allowed to see him. He looked scary. He was on morphine, so it was worse, but he had this empty look in his eyes that will be important later. He was making jokes as usual, and I tried not to bother him too much because my fussing made him mad. TW over. It took a while for him to be mostly normal. But he's never been the same. In the hospital and at home he would snap or yell at me for bothering him too much, changing his bandages, checking his temperature. 2 months later it has gotten weird. He's extremely depressed. He has moments that are good like normal, but it seems to be getting worse. He gets that empty look when something irritates him and just loses his temper. He throws things, yells. Sometimes when he talks he has zero empathy. His overall level of empathy toward especially me has just gone. I take care of everything now, including him. I'm totally okay with that, but I am chronically ill and only able to work part-time. My money supports us while he goes to school, and the housework is falling behind because I'm too sick to do it all. He won't hardly blow his nose or drink water unless I say something. And he is just angry all the time. He cries because he says he doesn't feel emotions like he used to. He only feels them 5% of the time. I don't know what to do. He has a therapist, but that's about it. You are going through a lot, and it is very hard. His therapy is a good thing, and healing from a TBI takes time. I can't say how long, no one can. But he will likely never be the same. Love is hard, and if this is too much, don't feel badly about taking a break or leaving. You can't pour from an empty cup. Your needs are important. Are you in therapy or able to get counseling? Have you talked to the doctors? Maybe they can give you an idea of how long these things last. My nephew had brain surgery and afterward his family kept saying he wasn't the same. I believe he was angrier and didn't have a sense of humor anymore. However, in the years since he has written a book reflecting on his life and surgery, I skimmed it. His tone was very good-natured, and recently got married and had a child. I'm not close with him, so I don't have more info, but this could be typical and short-term. This happened to my mum. She hasn't been the same person since. It took some time for her not to be angry. I still love her, but she isn't the mum I knew. Sometimes when you love someone enough, you have to let them go. You won't be able to take care of him if he makes you miserable. And the dark truth is, you most likely won't be able to support yourself, him, and a child if you wanted to move forward with your life. I also had a concussion from a car accident about a month ago. It wasn't as major as your BF's, but my partner said he noticed that I'm not the same. It takes time. If you're willing to stick around for it, that's good, but if you're not, that's also okay. Therapy is great, and he has to be patient with himself. Some days I feel like my brain is completely scrambled, and others I'm myself again. It just takes time. As someone who has recovered from a traumatic brain injury and had very similar symptoms as your boyfriend, it probably took me 5 whole years to get to a new normal. I know that phrase sucks, but I was never the same again. I am healthy, stable, happy now, but it took a lot of fucking work. A lot. Occupational therapy, normal mental health therapy, neuro-psych testing, it's a lot. My mother took care of me during that time, and my heart goes out to you and her. I don't have any relationship advice, just full transparency on what a TBI looks like. It's hell, for all people involved. It's clear that the areas that affect emotion and things like empathy are messed up. It will take some time and help to improve. I don't know how to help. I wish you the best and a by choice you make. You won't be judged as you are doing your best. It takes a year for all the swelling to truly go down after a nose job. He is still healing, and will be for years after the swelling does go down. His brain has to make new pathways for the ones the injury interrupted. Try getting a second opinion psych evaluation to help plan treatments. I am so sorry for the trauma you both endured. You have to heal too. I often find support in different Facebook groups, like using neighborhoods to get help when I couldn't physically shovel my snow, or groups relating to my conditions, medications. I hope you both get the extra support you need. My bridesmaid, 30F, asked my sister, 26F, for a threesome. Basically, the title says it all. Let's get a few facts out of the way. I've been having some problems with this girl for quite some time now. We were at my engagement party. My best friend from college and her husband came. I've never liked him, he's an ass. But I've had to deal with it for her sake. My sister is my maid of honor and openly bisexual. After the party, we all went to some local bars. And it got a bit lit. It's pretty fuzzy for all of us, but my bridesmaid started shitting on her husband and hitting on my sister. My sister found it uncomfortable, but still didn't make it a big deal. Hours later, the whole party goes to sleep at my parents' house. I think all is well in the morning, until my sister refuses to be around the group. When we talk about it a few weeks later, my sister tells me that my bridesmaid and her husband drunkenly asked her for a threesome, and it made her feel gross. Now, this is causing a whole stir. My bridesmaid and her husband are denying the whole thing. My sister is my best friend, and I believe her. She said she does not want to come between anything, and never wanted this to happen. I am kicking this bridesmaid out of the wedding because she has caused more problems than good. She is clearly mad and upset at me over all of this. But I don't want her there now. Any advice is appreciated. You made the right call to believe your sister. You made the right call to kick your friend out of the wedding for how she and her husband made a pass at your sister. Your wedding day is about you and your S.O. and should not be tainted by other drama. Shame on her. No. Kick her out and support your sister. This is an issue in the bi community. Gross men hear a woman is bi and instantly ask her for a threesome. Fucking disgusting. Well, you backed your sister and kicked the bridesmaid out. Are they still coming to the wedding? At this point, split a pizza and a bottle of wine with your sister. Forget the other two and just have a great wedding. I'm not sure what more advice we can give you other than ban this friend from your wedding and bridal party, which you seem to have done, and accept that this friendship has run its course. What else is there to say? Your former friend behaved appallingly, sexualized your sister and made her deeply uncomfortable, and her husband made spectacles of themselves. Are you looking to maintain the friendship and want our advice on how to do that? Because I wouldn't recommend that after this. And if you're no longer friends with them, then you no longer need to care how they feel about being kicked out. Your sister is the one you need to prioritize, but you're doing that already, so that's good. Your friend isn't taking responsibility, so it's not your responsibility to fix this. I would not think of fixing it, personally. As a bisexual woman, you get fetishized so much, and you get tons of trashy, unhappy, and unhealthy older married couples fetishizing you. People just assume you cannot be monogamous or that you are up for anything and have no feelings. I literally don't say I'm bisexual on dating sites for this reason. I make 2 profiles. It's really common. I'm just trying to give perspective on how gross your friend is. She thinks of your sister like a sex toy for her husband and not a whole person. Perfect, the bridesmaid is gone. Hopefully the drama will now end, and you will have an amazing wedding. I would disinvite her and fucktard too. Then block and cut her out of your life for good. As a bisexual myself, when I read that your own sister is bisexual, my heart sank because I knew what was coming. They treated her like a unicorn. She is just a fetish to them, which is partially why she is upset. I'm not sure you need advice though. It seems like you've done everything right. You've listened to your sister and you've kicked out the creep. Just keep being there for her. Make sure she knows it's not her fault. Mom removed my door lock today. She keeps coming to my room every 30 Malines, opens the door, stands there or tells me a task and leaves the door open every fucking time. Today I told her I would lock it if she did it again and just came back from jogging, and what the fuck? Bruh. Edit. Thank y'all for all the support, and it's a rented apartment. I don't live in Canada as of now. Edit 2. Going to try something ballsy today. Will throw an update if it goes to my liking. My mom let her second husband take my whole damn door off the hinges and I had zero privacy for nearly a year. Go about life business as usual. They want to see you bothered. If you need privacy, lock yourself in the bathroom instead. If it's inconvenient for them, say you don't have privacy in your room, so you're going to the room that has the lock. Woman shrugging, medium light skin tone. Put a wedge under the door. This will stop the door being pushed open. Start failing the tasks. If she gets locked out of her Facebook account, she can't just unscrew that. Had a friend with a similar situation. He walked around naked in the minute he heard his mom coming in with pretend to be doing some very embarrassing activities. She stopped coming in on and announced, But I mean God, that would take some intestinal fortitude to actually carry out. I am sorry you are going through this, it's unfair. I would be naked on the bed until she put it back. Just let her catch you masturbating and calmly tell her she should knock next time. The people in the comments saying, her house her rules, get on my nerves. Just because she pays the bills doesn't mean she shouldn't provide her child with basic respect. Respect is a two-way street, even if it's a parent-child relationship. If you also think that just because you pay the bills and put a roof over your kid's head and feed them that you deserve respect, you're also wrong. Those are the basics you should provide your kids. Don't have children if you think like that. You'll end up in the retirement home. As for Op. How old are you? I assume you're probably around 15–18 based on comments. I think you should start preparing to move out when you're old enough, have the funds. She clearly lacks some respect for you, and that isn't fair. Also, maybe hide something of hers. Just start masturbating loudly and moaning. I promise the door will be back faster than you think. Well, it'll come back on the hinges, or we're gonna see a other episode of Family Therapy. Either way, it's a win. I found Gore on his phone. Been with my soulmate for 8 years. 2 kids in. High school sweethearts, friends since 7th grade. Treats me wonderfully, loves me dearly, same with me for him. We trust each other, we're completely open and honest. We even share things like phones and computers. Suddenly I wish we didn't. This morning I was looking through his Reddit history and saw a Gore subreddit. Then another. Dozens and dozens and dozens of posts. Slitting throats, falling off buildings, stuff titled, such and such turns wife's head into spaghetti, what the fuck. I have seen, gone wild etc. on my partner's history before and blushed but didn't say anything, but this feels so different. Part of me would have rather found out he was cheating on me. I confronted him gently, kind of laughing awkwardly, but I did ask straight up, and he immediately acted like I'd caught him in the act, like he knew it was bad. He kept saying it was grim curiosity, or something like that. I can't stop thinking that he's doing this sexually even though I have zero reason to. It's just like, why the fuck would you look at over 100 Gore videos in one session if it's not something serious like a fetish? This doesn't seem like a 2-second. I saw a weird title and just had to click on it. This is tons of videos in a row, throughout several subreddits. I've never seen this in his history before, but I don't go on it a lot and he goes on Reddit a ton, so it could easily have just gone unnoticed. I don't know what to do. I can't stop thinking it's sexual. He deleted his Reddit account immediately, but I am not somebody's mom in the 2000s. I know how the internet works. He doesn't need an account to look at it. He can do it any time he wants with or without an account. I keep thinking like this is only one thing and IDK people do weird things, but how do I know this is the only weird thing? I didn't think he did this, so what else is there? We love watching stuff like Snapped and he always seems disgusted by the parts that are real-life pictures. Now I'm wondering if he was just trying to play off getting turned on by it? Have you ever found something like this on one of your SOS devices? What would you do? If you are someone who looks at Gore sites casually, could you explain the appeal? Are you normal, other than the Gore habit? I'm freaking out. Edit. So at first when I brought it up he was really embarrassed and just sort of laughed it off and kept saying, "This is so embarrassing. I wish I could crawl under a rock and die," and he didn't want to talk about it. I did ask him then, when I initially brought it up, if it was a fetish thing. He looked kind of scared and didn't want to talk about it, which was concerning. After a while he came up to me and was like, "So we should talk about the Gore thing," and we talked about it. He said that it was a morbid curiosity thing triggered by seeing a link in the comments of public freakout, and that he went down a rabbit hole for a while sort of binging the videos. That it's not something he does habitually, but he does get reminded of the existence of the videos every few years and watches bunches of them at a time. He kept saying that it reminds him of how much horrible stuff there is out there and how anything could happen, etc., which I personally find more worrying than comforting. He used a lot of phrases like, "I just had to keep scrolling," or, "I needed to see it," which bothered me, but also kept saying it wasn't impulsive or fetish why, that it's more of a car wreck that you can't look away from, sort of feeling. I explained to him that for me Gore videos are just morally wrong. I can't understand casually watching a video of someone suffering. He then kept bringing up that he didn't enjoy the videos but watches them to be reminded that these horrible things exist. So I brought up PE videos and snuff films and asked if he also watches those, to see the horrible things in the world. I asked him would he want people to watch a video titled, "Girl Gets Head Turned into Spaghetti." That is me or one of our children literally taking our last breath. He kind of got really serious then and said that he hadn't thought of it that way and that from that perspective he feels really gross about it. He knows about my past relationship where my partner was into gore sexually, guro. So he wasn't confused or surprised that my mind went there, but said that he definitely wasn't thinking of it in that way when he was looking at it and didn't expect that question, so he didn't know what to say. After our full conversation on it, he offered to look into therapy if I was really concerned, but kept saying that he personally doesn't feel like he'd need it. That it was something he didn't do often enough to think deeply on it and that he isn't planning to do it ever again now that he has. I believe him because I really have no reason not to, and I know who he is as a person and what his usual habits are. It was very jarring to suddenly see that gore was something he watched even every few years, but I feel like this is something we had different perspectives on, until our conversation, and not something he was hiding from me intentionally. Unless it somehow comes up again in the future, I think it's pretty much mystery solved. I think you should probably talk to him until you are satisfied you understand why he does it, but you shouldn't jump to the conclusion that it is sexual. Some people do have morbid curiosity. I recently saw the video of the man in Australia being attacked by a great white. Nothing, no deep emotional reaction other than feeling sad for the loss of life in his family. Meanwhile, I watched a documentary about ancient civilizations drugging and sacrificing children. Couldn't stop sobbing for days. I don't think his curiosity is necessarily weird. I think the frequency is, and definitely a concern if sexually aroused. Be careful X. I've watched a ton of gore in my lifetime. Really humbles and opened my eyes to how absolutely mortal I was. I've never hunted or killed animals other than mousetraps. I've never been in a fight, let alone tried to or actually killed someone. Nor do I find it sexual at all. I definitely push it, but it's not always a sign of something far worse. Grim curiosity caught me once, when I was like 15. I definitely did not get near even the 15th thing before it was too much for me. While it could be a sexual thing, it could also be a, this is what could happen, thought, just taken way too far. Therapy could definitely be an option, or this could also be at a harmless level, though gore on the level you're describing can be really desensitizing depending on the person. Wishing you the best op. I know some of my husband's friends watch this stuff. It's some sort of morbid curiosity, as your boyfriend said, like driving by a car accident and being unable to look away. I'm with you on it though, I think it's pretty gross to watch and I do not understand the appeal. It's just disturbing to me. I think some people weirdly disconnect it from the reality of being an actual fellow human's horrible experience. I'll never understand it myself. I definitely wouldn't assume it's sexual. After reading the update, I believe his explanation. I also couldn't watch videos like that. But I've watched weird-ass videos that might freak people out too out of curiosity too, so if this is the only flag that's popped up, I'd let it go, be okay with his explanation. I've been watching gore since I was probably 13-14, I'm 27 now. I don't see nothing wrong with it, it actually helps me cope with the concept of death. You're high school sweethearts, but you have an ex who was into gore as a fetish? What's the timeline here? And why didn't you mention the ex in the original post?